What's going on, everybody? So we're going to take a break from the CJ project to work on my O1 TJ here. Last time I had it out, I broke the motor mount bolts off on the driver's side, so we're going to try to get that fixed today. Maybe be ready for that ride coming in a few weeks here. Stone dead battery. That sinks. As I said, it's sat for a little while here, so that battery's completely dead. We'll jump it off real quick. I got the cables hooked up. Let's see if she'll go. All right, I got the cables hooked up. Let's see if she'll go here. There it is. She's alive. I got the Jeep off the trailer, parked here by the CJ. So basically right now, my engine is being held up by this ratchet strap here because, I don't know how well you can be able to see it, the motor mount on this side, you can see there's empty holes there where there should be bolts. So basically what happened was, one more shot here, going up an obstacle, I can't remember the name of it, at Morris Mountain. I hit it a little too hard and also didn't realize that I was missing 2 out of the 3 bolts on that mount. So it's just one bolt left holding it on there. Probably should have checked that a little better, but you know, things happen. Anyway, went up a little too hard. That last bolt snapped off. Motor dropped on this side and started fan eating up the fan shroud here, as you got pieces of it. So we may have to replace that. But yeah, I noticed because I couldn't get into gear anymore because everything, you know, engine, transmission all kind of shifted over. So we ratchet strapped it up, got back to camp, and I did find 2 bolts, or one of the guys found 2 bolts that looked to be about right for it, and put them back in there. And then as we're going up back out to the trails pretty much after lunch, they immediately stripped out. Come to find out they weren't really long enough. They felt like they were, but they just weren't really long enough, so they stripped out the beginning of the threads. Ratchet strapped it back up, brought it back to camp, parked it, and it sat on the trailer since then. So now we're going to try to pick up the engine a little bit. I got some bigger bolts, 1/2 inch. So we're going to drill it out, tap it, put those in there. There's plenty of material around it, so it should be fine. And yeah, be ready to go again. That's the idea, at least. I think first things first, we're going to take out this inner fender liner here. I think we'll leave the fender in place, just take out the liner, and that should give us the room. That's what I did the first time, put those bolts in, which really probably didn't need to per se, but I did, and I think it would help for drilling them out. One annoying thing about these fender liners versus the CJ, so this is a lot of stuff mounted to it. Got to take off my horns and all that, and washer fluid. One more bolt holding this thing up here. Fender's out of the way. Let's kind of try to get some of this tied up somehow or another. All right, I'm gonna try to get all these tied up. Remember, I had these little cam lock, basically bungee strap things. We'll see how good they work. Kind of an adjustable length bungee strap pretty much. Pull that up tight, there we go. That's kind of neat. Alright, looking at where everything's placed, I think I'm going to need to take the steering shaft loose here too. Pull it up out of the way so I can get kind of a straight shot to all that. And the plan is going to be to lift the motor up a little bit, take the mounts off. Now we can go straight into there and drill those out, hopefully without taking the motor completely out of the Jeep, just up some. Like a 15mm, I'll break these loose. Oh yeah, those are tight. Alright, need a little bit of heat. I'll be careful here that I'm only heating up the bolt, not the brake lines that are right beside it. Yes, I could take the brake lines loose, give myself more room, but where's the fun in that? There it goes. That bolt's stiffened up again. I bet there's some Loctite that's kind of melting and solidifying. But we're almost there. There it goes. Yep. Some Loctite on there, just like I suspected. Alright, let's get that other one loose real quick. Do the same thing again, just heat it up and hit it with the impact. Crazy the difference a little bit of heat makes. Alright, so now we can get that steering shaft out of the way. Use another one of these little strap doodads. That really didn't get me near as much clearance as I thought it would. Can I rotate this? Yeah. Oh, that's hot. Yeah, if I can pull that up out of the way once it cools down some, that'll give me a good bit more room. Alright, there's not really a good way to film this, so I was trying to go ahead and do it, but it's really annoying that the motor mount bolt runs into the AC compressor housing. That's quite annoying. So I'm going to take the whole thing off in one piece and slide it out of there. As you can see, I got the motor mount out. It's right here. So on TJ, you have kind of a two-piece motor mount here. You got this side, which actually bolts to your frame. It sits right on that little pad right there. And then it goes through this piece. So it kind of sits, set this up here. Don't stay. So it goes in there. And that bolts your block through those three bolts. In my case, these two have backed themselves out at some point and gone missing. That was the only one holding it in. So when that one broke, there's nothing left holding it, and the whole motor on this side just dropped down. As you can see, we have the three holes with one broken bolt in them. So in the top two, the threads are damaged from where that last bolt pulled out. So what we'll do is just drill those out a little larger. Also drill out those on there, tap the holes in there for a 1/2-inch bolt. We should be good to go. So I've got the motor picked up a little more on this side. So I should be able to get drill in there, drill those out. Shouldn't be too bad. All right, I'm gonna try to drill out the top two first here. That's not even close to straight. I really don't want to take the steering shaft apart. I think I'm gonna have to. That's really unfortunate. I did not want to take the steering shaft apart, especially because you guys are mounted to it right now. Editing me here. I thought I recorded taking that steering shaft out of there, but I guess not. It's basically just a bolt at the top, bolt at the bottom, and it pops right out of there. I recorded a little bit of installing it, so you'll see that later. But we're just going to switch over to drilling out the block side of those brackets to accept those 1/2-inch bolts now. Motor mount over here in the vise going to drill out for these 1/2-inch bolts. I noticed, if you can see down in there, you really can't, but the threads from that last bolt they're holding on to have been wobbling around in there and imprinted, whereas these two have been missing the bolt for a while. They're clean holes. But that one's just been wobbling around and imprinted the threads on there. Flow's interesting. Here we go. Now, all three holes will accept these 1/2-inch bolts. One thing I need to do is cut down these bolts, or get this one cut to size. But I didn't know exactly what size I was going to need for these, so I just got them a little long, and I was cutting off the excess. So, stick a nut on there, run it down, cut it the length, run that nut back off, clean up the threads, and should be good. And there we have it. 3 bolts that should work just fine. Well, not perfect, but it's better than a trip to hardware store for them. So go ahead and get them long and cut them down here. Now comes the fun part. I've got both of these holes drilled and tapped to the 1/2 inch. This one I get that broken bolt out. I think I decided instead of trying to drill it out, I'm going to first try to weld a nut on there and back it out that way. It seems I'm going to have better luck than try and drill it out because it's in an awkward spot. Alright, let's try to get this bolt out of here. I got a little nut that I found from the CJ that I'm going to try to weld on there. I'm actually going to try to build the nut, or build the bolt up a little bit first so flush, actually a little bit recessed with it. Now let's try to put the nut around that welded on there. Did that really just work first try? See if I can get this in here to zip it out. I know some people say not to ground through a bolt, but if I need to, I could tap the hole back out a little bit. So I wasn't too worried about it. Alright, small change of plans here. As you can kind of see, this bottom hole, the one that I just pulled the bolt out of, it's pretty much in line with the frame side of this mount here. There's no real room to go drill in there, drill that out larger. And I've got the right size bolt for it. The threads are still, just fine in that hole. Threads in just fine. So I'm going to put the stock size bolt back in this hole just because if I were to try to drill that out with the little room that I have, I'm probably going to go crooked and do more harm than good. So I'm going to leave that as is. Got these two that are larger than stock right above it, so this was good enough from stock, but now it's going to be extra because we have those 2 stronger bolts up top. So that should be fine. Let's go ahead and start putting this thing back together. There we go. All 3 bolts started. Let's go and zip them in there. Was nobody gonna let me know I forgot Loctite? Definitely don't want to deal with these coming out again. This will be the last time. That looks much better. All 3 bolts in there. Let's get the frame side mount on here. Steering shaft back in, inner fender back in. We'll be done with this thing. Alright, y'all let me know when that's lined up there. Looks about right. Let's see. Perfect. First try. We'll grab that blue Loctite to put on there. Alright, everything on the motor mount tightened up. Now I'm trying to get the steering shaft back in here. And what I did was I went and pushed my tire, make sure the tires are straight, steering wheel's straight. So all I have to do now is keep it straight, line up the shaft, and it should be good. If not, it can be adjusted a little bit later, but for now we're just gonna try to keep it straight and should all work out. Okay, that's slid back together. We'll go ahead and stick its bolt through there. And there we go, back on the steering shaft, on the gearbox. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and turn it a little bit so I can get these bolts easier. Now I can get to both of these bolts to tighten them down. Now so you get these bolts back in the, what do you call that, little support bearing? I don't know. You get those bolts back in there, then we need to start putting the inner fender back on. We're getting close. Alright, got both those bolts back in. If you remember, those had thread locker on them when it came out, so put a little bit of them back on there. Got the fender all back together. Y'all didn't need to see that because you saw it being taken apart. Just a bunch of these little bolts everywhere. Tire back on. Last thing to do is to release the strap that carried me out of Morris Mountain when I broke it. In case you're wondering if you ever break a motor mount on the trail, what we did was ran the strap down to the power steering pump bracket and then over the side and down to the spring, and that was able to pick up the side of the engine enough to kind of get it all level, get off the trail. But now we don't need it anymore. It's all back together. Beautiful thing. Like I said, the fan shroud is a little tore up. The bottom's pretty bad too. We'll see. If it starts to get a little warm, I'll have to look into replacing that, but it'd probably be fine for off-road. When I get ready to start driving this Jeep on the road more, I'll probably need to do it. But yeah, it'd be fine. Thank you guys for watching this video. Glad to finally have the TJ back on the motor mounts. Hopefully be able to take it out pretty soon here. Got plenty more content with that coming up. Plus the CJ, still working on that. So I'm looking for names for both of those. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments below. And if you like the video, don't forget to like it, comment, subscribe, all that. Let me know what you want to see more of. Thank you.